News. Flu and cold season are here, and no one wants to be sick. So we're testing all the wives' tales. The tough question, which ones work and which are just nonsense? Sunday at 11 on CBS Atlanta News. Powered by 790 The Zone. This is the CBS Atlanta Sportsline SEC Preview Show. Presented by your Greater Atlanta Hyundai dealers.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the SEC Preview Show on CBS Atlanta. I'm Guy Rawlings, and the man to my right who can talk all night, that is Wayne Gany, and 15-year NFL veteran, former Auburn Tiger. If anybody knows about SEC rivalries, you would know.
And I told you to keep that Auburn thing kind of low.
It's been a little rough for the Tigers this year.
But this is why everybody loves the SEC. Week in, week out, top 10 matchups. Once again, in action, Georgia, Florida, the cocktail party, something you know a little bit about going on in Jacksonville. Hurricane Sandy might put a little wind on the action, but it's going to be hot and heated.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be blustery possibly in Jacksonville, but it's going to be a fun game. Looking forward to it. Before we talk about tomorrow's game, let's take a look back at what happened last year. Of course, Georgia came back in that game. They were down by a pair of touchdowns, I believe, and came back to win it.
Georgia, with a big chip on their shoulder going into this game, under Mark Richt, hasn't done very well in the cocktail party. Only 3-8 under Mark Richt right now. They go into this game with a lot of pressure on their shoulders. Number 5 when the season started. Here's a game that beating the Gators puts them right back in the driver's seat of winning the SEC East and ended up in the SEC Championship game December 1st. Should be an exciting game. Players on Georgia's side calling out the team. Florida fans putting ads in Georgia's paper about we're going to bury the dogs. So it should be an exciting matchup.
You know, and last year, Will Muschamp knew they let one slip away.
We look forward to going to Jacksonville. It felt like it was a game we let slip away a little bit last year. Had some turnovers. You got to give them credit for the plays they made. We didn't. But I know our guys will be excited about preparing for this week and going over to Jacksonville for the game.
All right, you talked about the ad in the paper. You talked about what's at stake. I mean, this is a huge game because the winner of this game is in the driver's seat for the SEC East.
Well, first of all, Coach Muschamp, we have to find a better name than grit, toughness for your team. But he has instilled a lot of toughness in this Florida team, doing a great job, especially in the second half, his coaching staff with this Florida team, who's only given up like 21 points to SEC competition. But when you watch this game, you have to be excited about the matchups on both sides of the ball. Who's going to bend in the cocktail party?
You can't say enough about this game. That's why we're going to take the whole first section of the show on this particular game. And like you said, Mark Richt knows exactly what's at stake.
I don't know. For both teams, what's at stake, I'm not sure. Maybe there might have been once or twice that came close, but I don't know if there's really been a game where so much was at stake for each team.
I don't know why he's faking the funk. He knows exactly what's at stake. This is a huge game for both teams. All right, let's keep moving with the Dogs defense. So much talent on the defensive side of the ball for Georgia. 9 of 11 starters returned from last year. But were they oversold coming into the season? Are they underachieving?
I think they're very much underachieving. When you watch this team, as safety Sean Williams said, you always set the tempo on defense. And the defense plays very soft. It doesn't seem to fit. And sometimes when you have a lot of talent, you kind of pass the buck to the next man. Oh, he'll make the play. Oh, he will make the play. They have to go out and as 11-man unit start really bearing down. They have a great test against Jeff Driscoll and Mike Gillisley stopping the run, but they're going to have to set the tempo for this game.
Okay, and as far as the Gators defense, that is really the strength of their team. I mean, no longer it used to be all about their offense and throwing the ball all over the place, but that's not the case anymore.
No, this defense, great against the run, 7th nationally in total defense. No matter who's injured, who goes in, they make plays. They have a great special teams. Last week playing South Carolina, forcing fumbles, blocking field goals, and they have a great punter in Kyle Christie. That's what really sets this team apart and puts them in that same bracket, as you can see, ranked number 2 with an Alabama.
And it's a lot of their defensive game or I guess game in general is about field position. The defense holds the team back, and then the punter kicks the heck out of it and puts the other team in deep in territory.
Yeah, Coach Muschamp has definitely pulled a page out of Coach Saban's playbook. We're going to play great defense. We're going to have great special teams. Florida is one of the top teams in not turning the ball over. I think they only have like 4 turnovers the whole season. Yep. And when you can do that, when you can play great defense, as I said, you're great in the red zone, you can win some games. And they play to what they do. A lot of people get on them from not being able to throw the ball. But, hey, we're going to run, we're going to play defense, and when we get in the red zone, we have a 92% percentage rate. We're going to get in the end zone and score.
All right, when you're talking about the Dogs' offense, I mean, they can put up some points. Aaron Murray is trying to do his job, but doesn't it really start with Gershaw, and you put that in quotations, Todd Gurley and Keith Marshall?
Yeah, it starts there because that takes all the pressure that keeps the defense honest, being able to run the ball. Up until the South Carolina game, Georgia dominant running the ball with Gurley and Marshall. These last 2 games, only been able to average about 96 yards rushing. They have to get back to getting pound and pound and pound, really eat up some clock, have that safety, have to stay honest so Aaron Murray can make plays down the field.
And I mentioned it briefly already, but the Gators offense no more is Spurrier's fun and gun. Now it's Muschamp's ground and pound.
Yeah, when you watch Jeff Driscoll, he doesn't pass a lot, but when he does, he has a high percentage. And the thing I like about Florida's offense is when you do give them the short field, they go in the end zone. That's what must happen when you want to be a top team. It can't be, I get the turnover and kick field goals.
Right, breaking tackles and getting to the end zone. That's a big part of Florida's game. They've had a great season, especially second half in games.
Yeah, they dominate opponents. It's not even close. 108-21 in the second half. They dominate defensively, and the offense gets going.
All right, can't wait for that one tomorrow. When we return, we'll find out if Mississippi State has a chance to take down the champs in Tuscaloosa. And welcome back. I guess you could say Florida is a surprise team in the East. As far as the West is concerned, it's got to be Mississippi State, undefeated, facing number 1 Bama tomorrow. And Mississippi State is not really getting any respect with no losses this season.
There's 11 undefeated teams left in the FBS. One of them is Mississippi State. I'm quite sure 3 months ago, no one in Vegas thought this would be true. Tyler Russell, the quarterback for Mississippi State, is playing great football. He's not turning the ball over, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, high completion rating. He has his offense clicking. But when you talk about playing Bama, everything's going to have to go your way. Mississippi State is definitely going to have to get some turnovers. They have to get some big plays on the ground to eat up some of this clock. And they're really going to have their first real test in playing the number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide.
And Mississippi State, as you said, undefeated, but their teams that they've beaten in the conference are 0-14 in the conference. So I guess that says a lot.
Yeah, beating up on Auburn is no longer a badge of courage. But Mississippi State has been doing a great job. And like I always say, you can only beat the people that are on your schedule.
All right, moving on to Alabama. Nick Saban's team, they're just a machine. Right. They're just a winning machine. I don't even know what to say about these guys.
The best no-name team that has probably ever been in college football. When you look at this team, other than A.J. McCarron, nobody really knows because offensively their stars are freshmen, T.J. Yeldon and Amari Cooper, who are just jumped on the college scene.
Right.
But this team dominates on both sides of the ball. The defense has held steady enough to let these offensive players mature. Last week, Amari Cooper having a big day up in Tennessee. Alabama, as I said, just like Florida, we don't turn the ball over. We're great in the red zone, and we play great defense. Right. And that's how you become the number 1 team in the country.
8 straight weeks at number 1. South Carolina hosting Tennessee, and the Gamecocks are trying to get over a couple of big losses, facing Tennessee, who's trying to still get their first win in the conference.
South Carolina coming off a big game last week. Really got beat down in Florida, having to go to Tennessee, take on Tyler Bray. But they have the defensive front to be able to put pressure on him. and Coach Spurrier is trying to get this team back to his winning ways. We still have 4 games to go. We still can make a major bowl. Those are the key points that he has to sell this team to get them back. And when you want to get back, you go to Tennessee and you play the worst defense in the SEC.
How hot is the seat under Derek Dooley at this point?
It is inflamed. It's no longer hot. Hot.
On fire!
It's already on fire. He doesn't win against SEC competition, and at a school like Tennessee, winning SEC games is a must. It's not can we, will we, it's a must that we do.
All right, well, when the SEC Friday Night Preview Show gets back, we'll take a look at the rest of the slate in the conference and see if Georgia Tech can keep it going against BYU.
You by Lincoln.
All right, Wayne, let's look at these games. Kentucky at Missouri, both teams still trying to get their first win in the conference.
Both teams using backup quarterbacks. I'm going to go with Missouri. I'm going to take the home team.
Okay, Tennessee at South Carolina. We talked about that a little bit. Who do you think?
I'm going to take South Carolina. I think they have a lot to prove and a big motivation losing 2 back-to-back games.
Ole Miss and Arkansas. I'm not sure what to think about that one.
Should be a lot of scoring in this game. I know that. Arkansas and, Mississippi State has the better defense. I'm going to go with, Ole Miss has the better defense. I'm going to go with Ole Miss.
Okay, Florida and Georgia, we know that's going to be tomorrow at 3:30 right here on CBS Atlanta. We'll talk about that in a little bit. UMass at Vandy. It could be Vandy's chance to get a win here.
UMass hasn't won a game. I was trying to make sure that wasn't a typo, so I definitely have to go with SEC Vandy in that game.
Texas A&M at Auburn, and Texas A&M's pretty good, especially offensively.
This could be the nail in the coffin for Gene Chizik. Texas A&M invading Auburn on the Plains. I'm gonna go with Texas A&M.
All right, I'm sorry, brother. On that one. And Mississippi State at Alabama. It's a top 15 matchup. That should be a slobber knocker.
Roll Tide is all I can say. Roll Tide.
All right, Georgia Tech is hosting BYU tomorrow, and Georgia Tech, they've had defensive changes, and that seemed to help them into last week's game.
Yeah, Charles Kelly and his defense got on track, really fit well, made tackles. I think this is homecoming. I had to check because I'm thinking this is a good opponent to have for homecoming. BYU has a stiff defense. It's going to be a big test for Georgia Tech here at home in Atlanta.
And BYU has yet to win on the road. They do well at home, but they can't win when they leave their home stadium.
Well, they played tough competition. Notre Dame, Oregon State, 2 top 10 teams. So I think that's going to really have them motivated for this game. I'm going to go with BYU.
All right, real quick, Florida, Georgia, who do you think?
I'm going to go with the Gators. I think that with that running game and that defense, they will outlast Georgia.
I like that. Thanks so much for watching a preview game right here on CBS Atlanta. Wayne Gany, I'm Guy Rawlings. We'll see you tomorrow.
When my mother and I came to America, we were so excited for what the future held. But when she passed away, I didn't know who